Hello, John.
Hey Don, how are you?
Doing great. And how about yourself?
Doing fantastic.
Where are you calling in from today?
I'm calling from Ohio here in the United States, kind of on the northern side, kind of west of Cleveland by the lake.
The best thing that I know about state of Ohio is LeBron James.
That's what we're known for. That's who we're known for. That's him.
Well, it's LeBron James. You also have Dave Chappelle.
Yeah. Yep.
Who
Yep.
else do we have that's from Ohio?
We have people like, oh man, we have an up and coming quarterback, Joe Burrow on the Cincinnati Bengals, my favorite football team, the team I support. We're not great, but we're getting there. We're getting there.
I wonder if there's this is a good trivia question. Which state has the most celebrities or I don't know, successful people or well-known people, or legends, you know?
I I don't know. Ohio definitely has a fair share, though. That I will say.
100%. I would have to say if just off the top of my head, maybe California is just a
Yeah.
huge state. New York, obviously.
Yep. Yep.
Those states, yeah. Cool.
But even from Ohio, we still have people like, actually, I think of Halle Berry. She comes to mind now.
Hey,
And yeah, I can't believe I forgot her. And we have, who else? I think we have Drew Carey, too. And of course, you can't forget, um, oh, Rutherford B. Hayes, an old U.S. president. Okay, now I'm getting nerdy. I apologize. I'll dial it back a little bit.
but the ones that are active and, just legends right now, LeBron James, Dave Chappelle.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. They're legends in both of their
Okay.
respective fields.
So then, I mean, did you grow up in Ohio? Just give me a little bit of your background.
Sure, sure. I was actually born in Pennsylvania, small slice of Pennsylvania. We moved around a little bit when we were growing up. My father is a doctor, but I was had when he was still going through residency and stuff like that. So we popped over to Long Island, where my sister was born, and then finally settled in southwestern Ohio, closer to kind of like the Cincinnati area was where we would end up settling for a little bit. And since I was like six years old, I've been pretty much planted there, and just kind of stayed in house for the last 20 years.
Wow. So 20 years in Ohio.
You got it.
Whew. Well, let me just ask you this, because you don't think of Ohio as like a tourist destination, right? I mean,
No, no, we don't.
right? I mean, you think of like, maybe LA or New York or, or Orlando could be one too. Disney World's there. As a, local, what would you suggest? Or what would be kind of like the places that you would suggest people to come to Ohio and get excited about?
So in Ohio, we have something called the three C's. We have Cincinnati, Columbus, and Cleveland. Those are the three biggest cities that we have here in Ohio. Everywhere else, you can just kind of write off as cornfield and soybean farm. But in those three C's, we have great sports and great food. We are in Cincinnati. We have something called the cheese coney, and it is a hot dog with chili and cheese and onions and mustard. And it is every time I go back home, I'm getting myself some cheese conies. So that's just a personal favorite that I hold near and dear to my heart back in Cincinnati.
So wait, is that your representative food? Like, how
Oh
like,
yeah,
there's like Philly cheesesteak, there's New York pizza, Chicago South
yeah.
pizza, hot dogs in Ohio.
Cheese conies in Cincinnati, Ohio. You can't come here without getting one
Okay, noted. Didn't
for
know
sure.
that. All right, well, John, let's get right into it here. This is the Coach Conversation Series, and it's been a while. I've had one, to be honest. But when I did have these regularly, I had conversations with coaches that are coaching our clients, and we just talk about their methods, what's been working with their clients, what has not been working, and we'd share these insights with the fellow coaches that will be watching this. If I'm not mistaken, you found us through one of these Coach Conversation Series calls, right?
The the actually how I found it is it's a little bit of a weird story. Do you mind if I drop it on you real quick?
Yes.
Sure. When I was pursuing my MBA, a friend of mine just found Donnelly and Company on his LinkedIn. Somebody was just dropped something on LinkedIn, and with a link towards one of the Coach Conversation series. And I fell down this rabbit hole. He had sent it to me through WhatsApp, and he said, "Hey, you might want to look at this opportunity. Just watch this video or something." And I said, "Okay." So I clicked on the video, saw your face, saw a different coach's face, and started clicking around more and more. And I was like, "Okay, you know what? I think this might be something for me." So I sent an email, and here I am.
Wow. Wow. So yeah, it works. I mean, we attract people like you, John. So I know that the time that we have here is special. And if it can attract, future coaches of your caliber to coach our clients, then we should be making more of these coach conversation series calls moving forward. So with that said, I'm going to give the floor to you. And can you just kind of walk us through your professional background first, and then we can kind of segue into what you're doing with your clients?
Yeah, sounds good. Sounds good. First and foremost, my background is in pharmacy. Ever since I was a young boy, I had always looked up to my father, who is a doctor, as mentioned, and knew that I've always wanted to help others. I wanted to impact my community, and that translated into going into healthcare. And I went to pharmacy school at Ohio Northern University, graduated in 2018, got my doctor of pharmacy degree, and immediately started working as a pharmacist. And as a pharmacist, I dispense medication, I immunize my patients, flu shots, it's the flu season, give a lot of flu shots, and I'm an advocate for public health, especially with this raging pandemic. I find that I'm answering a lot of questions about the coronavirus. For a time, I was actually facilitating testing for patients and for those that think they might be testing positive or don't know if they're positive or negative. I was facilitating testing on that for a few months at the beginning of all of this. And during this, during my service as a pharmacist, and still ongoing, of course, I wanted to capitalize on the leadership that I show in the pharmacy by pursuing a master's of business administration. I took some online courses. I was balancing an MBA and working for 2 years until I finally graduated with my MBA just this past summer, or past spring more so. And meanwhile, I'm doing my best to make sure that when I communicate with my patients, that the information I'm giving them on their medication is clear, that they understand what they're taking, how they're taking the medication. And when they give me a call when I'm at work and they ask, "Hey, you know what? Does this interact with this? Or am I allowed to take this? Or I missed this dose. How do I navigate this?" And I said, "Look, don't worry, Mr. or Mrs. Smith. This is how you can do. Don't worry about, it's okay that you missed the dose a few hours late. Go ahead and take it now." And I essentially serve as like the last barrier between the doctor and the drug and the patient. So I make sure that the patient's taking their medications correctly and that they are on their way to a healthier and safer lifestyle, depending on what they've got going on. And kind of capitalizing on the business and leadership component, I want to essentially be the best helper, going back to my MO, the best helper, the best mode of impact I can on my local community as possible. And I guess with Donnelly and Company, I'm trying to spread my fingers out and kind of expand my network as to how much I can help others and to what degree I can make an impact.
Well, I commend you for the work that you do. This is a historic timeline of our life, and we'll never forget this. So you're right in the thick and thin of it. And you've got I guess the scientific hat on, and I'm sure you get a lot of questions about the coronavirus, and there's people that believe it, people that don't believe it, the people in the middle of it. Do you mind if I ask you what's your take on this entire pandemic that's going on?
Yeah, of course. It is a serious problem on many fronts. It really exposes a lot of the issues we have, internally, externally. Communication is key. Where we're getting our news is key. I still see people coming in without a mask on, where it's highly encouraged. The science is there, the evidence is there. Some people just continue to ignore or disbelieve in the facts. And thankfully, some people just come up to me straight up and say, John, what do you think about this? Or is what I'm hearing correct? And thankfully, I can dispel a lot of those rumors for those people that are interested in hearing what I have to say. But unfortunately, there are still others that simply would like to just listen to what they listen to, or etc. But right now, actually, the situation in Ohio is getting worse. And however, I'm making sure that the people that I interact with are educated, that the people that I can care for are cared for, and that I'm doing my part as a healthcare professional to make sure that I'm abiding by the guidelines set forth by our scientists and leading researchers.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's puzzling, because we've got a pretty good handle on the pandemic here in Korea. Everyone's abiding to what the government is telling us to do, which is wear a mask, social distance, quarantine for 2 weeks if you're coming out of state. I mean, the numbers don't lie, The worst thing is we just don't know. It's like there's a lot of
Yep.
uncertainty. That's the worst
There
part.
is a lot of uncertainty. That's absolutely right, and which leads me to reason with those. They say, the media tells me to do one thing, and then they tell me to do another thing, and then there's just a lot of confusion. One of my fellow pharmacists and one of my best friends, he describes this entire situation in the States as kind of an infodemic. Where you're getting your information from is going to directly change how you approach or how you react to what you have to do with what's going on. And I just keep an ear to the scientists, and I keep an eye on the CDC website. And now, thankfully, there is positive evidence that wearing a mask helps not only other people, but the wearer as well. So I'm strongly encouraging everyone that I interact with. I actually thank the patients that are wearing a mask and say, hey, thank you for wearing your mask. Instead of chastising the ones that aren't, I say, hey, thank you for wearing your mask. I appreciate you wearing your mask. And if they don't have one, I'll offer one. But yeah, tough situation. Tough situation.
It's something definitely that we'll have to tell our grandkids about when that time comes. This is incredible.
Oh boy.
I can't believe it's happening. Right. So let's get into your clients. I know you're teaching clients, and knowing your approach to them, it's quite different. You have one student that is gearing up for job interviews. You have another professional that works for a global company and has a different type of learning objective. Can you kind of just walk us through, I guess, your approach when it comes to customizing the lessons depending on the different objectives of your students' needs?
Of course. The first thing that I like to do is listen.
Mm-hmm.
Listen to the clients, because each client is different. No two clients are the same. And to think that I can develop a cookie cutter method to coaching a client would be completely incorrect, because everybody has different needs, different objectives, different goals. So I want to listen to what they have to say, what they want to achieve first, and then customize based on those objectives. Let's say that pronunciation or accent reduction is a primary objective. I'm going to say, okay, let me find certain speeches, some recordings on YouTube, send those to you your way. Or let's have a conversation, and I can keep a closer ear on the accents or certain pronunciations. If somebody wants to turn to a more business route, or they say, you know what, I'm actually going to prepare for interviews. I have a huge presentation coming up. What can we do about that? Well, let me throw a graph on my screen, and why don't we just look over it together? Why don't you give me a 30-second presentation on just this table and tell me what you think? And from there, I can gauge confidence. I can gauge sentence structure. I can gauge grammar proficiency. And so depending on what the client wants to achieve is how I will approach the customization of their curriculum.
I love it. And so, going with a student that is preparing for job interviews, can you delve deeper into that? And kind of like, I know that you do a lot of role play exercises. I think that's fantastic. Can you kind of shed light on that?
Of course. One of my clients was very proactive and said, hey, you know what? I've got job interviews coming up. I need practice. I want to get my reps in. All right. When you go to the gym, you want to get big, strong muscles. You got to put your reps in. Otherwise, when it comes to pick up the weights, you're not going to be able to. So he said, I want to put the reps in. And I said, okay. So here's a link. here's a link to the top 40 questions that interviewers are likely to ask you. Go over that list. I'm not going to ask all 40, obviously. I'm going to pick 5 or 6, and I might throw some curveballs in there. Review these. The next couple of sessions, as soon as we open the laptop, as soon as I start the Zoom meeting, I'm no longer John anymore. I'm going to be a a regional manager for Intel. I'm going to be an onboarding advisor for Eli Lilly, and we're going to have a conversation. I want you to pretend that I'm no longer John, I'm somebody else. And I'll give him a little scenario sheet, actually. I'll go into Google Docs and just type up, you are preparing for this position. You're going to be a financial analyst for so-and-so, 3M or something like that. And they'll read that and just know what they're walking into during our next sessions. And so from that question pool, I ask them the questions. I'll process them. I'll type things in in our instant feedback report, and then we'll go over them once we're done after 15 or 20 minutes of intense interviewing.
Wow. Wow. And as a coach, mentor, teacher, what are some of the direct benefits that arises from doing that kind of role play?
Oh, it's just, yeah, for having setting the atmosphere as to one that has a level of stakes. I try not to break character. That's the one thing I actually don't do. I don't usually become my friendly, jovial self. I actually kind of have a stern face. I try to pretend that that I'm a little rougher around the edges, so to speak, just to kind of create the atmosphere that there's stakes on the line.
Nice.
And just by developing that sort of mentality and developing that, that sort of experience, emulating that sort of experience, it better prepares the client for a real life situation. It better allows them to apply what we have in our sessions into real life.
I'm a huge believer in that, John. Reenacting real life scenarios, and in this case, job interviews. I mean, that's huge. And I know a lot of our coaches are implementing that into their lessons, whether it's conference calls, job interviews, negotiations, even, how to handle even like public speech. I know that some of our advanced students are preparing that with their coaches, and it's that reenactment. But what I really want to highlight here, John, is this is really important. And I want a lot of our coaches that are listening in to take away this is you create a character and you don't break that character, because you want to create that environment in the classroom. I think that's huge. That's a huge one.
Yeah, I think so too. I think so too. Especially when now we're in an online setting, and we're not we're interviewers are not going somewhere for interviews now. They're mostly virtual or online. They have to think on their feet. And what I also try to do, I'll just kind of throw this in here also, is when I am a business, when I say I'm representing Intel, Eli Lilly, 3M, Pfizer, whoever, I'll actually go on their website and I look up their mission statement. I look up their vision. I look up their values. And I'll say, how do you align with our vision? How do you align with our values? And I'll kind of force them, if they're interviewing for specific business, I'll look up that business and I'll look up those values, so that then when they go and interview for that specific business, they know, okay, well, they care about this, this, and this. And because they've already talked with me about it, they'll be able to talk with the interview about it as well.
Nice. That's huge. Okay. Well, that's a huge golden nugget right there. And I think a lot of our coaches could take that and implement it with their sessions. So thank you for sharing. Now you have another client that is quite different, and it's less to do with the role play of job interviews, but more to do with maybe listening and comprehension. Correct? So walk us through your different approach with your other client as it relates to maybe listening comprehension.
Of course. When it comes to listening, I found that YouTube playlists have been a really, really big help. And for this specific client, they don't have a lot of time to prepare, which completely makes sense. I mean, when you're hustling and you're grinding and you have jobs on the side, and where you just have a job, sometimes it's difficult to prepare. But YouTube videos on their commute in the background, when you're waking up, you're going to bed, just listening to English and processing English that's clear, that is at their level, is going to allow them just to digest as much English as possible outside of our sessions, so that they continue to reap value, not in the 60 minutes that we have together, but outside as well. If I can cater a YouTube playlist to my client, they're not just getting 60 minutes of me. They're getting 70, 80, 90, however many minutes of YouTube video I feel like they will reap benefit from in that playlist is how much effort that they're actually getting overall. And as I add videos, that energy, that effort, it adds up. And as many times as they listen to that playlist,
I love it.
the effort and the value goes up also.
So you create a specific playlist for your students, and that playlist would serve the purpose of helping the students listening and comprehension skills. Do you create other playlists for different objectives?
For the specific client, they'll have their own specific playlist for their particular interests, and because there's no one size fits all playlist per client. However, TED Talks, if they want examples of a solid business presentation, Steve Jobs, if you want something on the more political side, Barack Obama, just speakers that enunciate clearly, that are gifted speakers, all of them get their own playlist. So
Cool.
there are different shoes to fill based on their own their specific need, but each client will have their own, if they choose to, if they want to, get their own playlist for their own interests.
I know I'm putting you on the spot here, but I'm a huge believer in accountability. And when you're helping a student develop this new routine and kind of habit for English learning, it's always in their best benefit to have someone, check in and hold them accountable. Is that something that you do with your students when it comes to this kind of like YouTube and kind of outside of the classroom exercises?
There's a level. I try to create a balance between nagging and checking in.
Yeah.
Thankfully, my clients are absolutely wonderful, and I feel no pressure when I send them a text or send them a message through Kakao Talk with a YouTube video that I find or something I think they might find interesting. And so I don't hawk them. I don't say, "Watch this video,
Mm.
read this article," but I'll send them a YouTube video. I'll send them a song that I think they might like to listen to. And I think if they know that I care for them as a friend, as not somebody that's wants to learn from me, but more as just on the same playing field, I think they're more intrinsically motivated to click on that YouTube video, to listen to that song, and without me, coming next session and be like, "Hey, did you listen to that?" They'll actually be like, "Oh," they'll listen to it because they think that that they would enjoy it. So I try to take it from that angle.
Yeah, I think that approach, it just, different case by case, right? Some students want that kind of hawkish, kind of like checking in and push in. Some students want that kind of just a different approach. I know I lean more towards that kind of hawkish micromanaging. But I tell the students right from the get-go, I'm like, hey, if you want me to be your accountability partner for this, I'm going to be checking in every day, call you at odd hours. But okay, next, and I think we've got a few more minutes before we close the call here. I know from our prior discussion on how we handle clients, you mentioned relationship is key, right? And so when you're first connected with the client, what is your approach in establishing the rapport, that kind of relationship to set that foundation, to create that long-lasting, healthy relationship with your clients?
Sure. As mentioned, the first thing that I like to do is listen, because it's not about me. It's about the client. The client is where the spotlight's on. They deserve the attention. So when it's the first session, I'm listening to everything. What do they like to do? What kind of family do they have? What are their kids like? What do their kids like? What do they watch on the weekends, on Saturday mornings? What kind of cereal are they eating? Small details can make the biggest difference. So when they say they like to go camping and it's been a beautiful weekend, I'll ask them, did you do anything outside? Where did you go? And you can tell when somebody's excited about something because their eyes light up. They don't stop talking. Their body language, they come to life, right? Their voice, there's like flavor in it. It's going up, it's going down. There, you can hear the excitement. So those specific things I listen for very carefully, and I bring it up, after one session, or I'll even text them about it. If one of my clients likes golf, I just found it was just on ESPN. Some guy hit a hole in one off of water, and it was unbelievable. So I sent him that link, and I know that he watched it. I know that he'd get a kick out of it. But those small things are what create these big relationships, or build the relationships that will last. So listen and listen, and then listen some more.
Yeah. And I think you hit the nail. I always get this idiom wrong. You know what? You hit the nail, the coffin. What is that? Can you give me some rope here?
You put the nail in the coffin, where you hit the nail on the head.
You hit the nail on the head. I always try to put in coffin with the head. I don't know why I do that. I've done this before. But the reason why we want to create these long-lasting relationships is this, and correct me if I'm wrong, is English, it's a marathon. Any skill up, it's going to be a marathon. There's going to be a few skills out there. I don't want to say few, but there are skills out there that can be learned quickly, right? Maybe 1, 2, 3 months intensive. But in terms of your English fluency, or any second language that you want to grow and reach a professional fluency level, it takes time. And because most of our clients, they've already reached this kind of intermediate level of fluency, and they want to reach that advanced, all the way up to the professional level. The improvements are incremental, and it's going to take time, and they know that before joining our program. So having a coach that they look forward to, eyes light up, someone that knows their situation, someone that listens to them attentively, and it goes a long way, so that English for them is not just a solo journey, but it's a partnership. And having someone like you, John, who I'm sure they adore and they love, is only going to help them in reaching their goals in their English fluency. So doing what you said, right? Listen, knowing their details, making that small effort, because I know that goes a long way. So for all the coaches that are watching this, it's all about effort. Things that you think may not matter does matter to the coaches, to the clients, and they will notice. I think that comes from just listening and getting that data. And once you have that data, you can most likely do something with it. What John pointed out was, he knows that the student likes to play golf. So there was a golf clip, shared it with the coach, with the client, because he wanted to, right? It's not because he had alternative motives, but it's just, he felt like that would be a good thing to do. And those good acts will turn into a long-lasting relationship that you want to have whenever we engage you with clients. So I want to just hammer that point home. Nail the coffin. What is it?
Put the nail in the coffin.
Put the nail in the coffin. There we go. Jeez Louise. And I'm an English teacher too. Goodness, it's embarrassing. So I think that's it, really. If we can highlight those 3 things, John, give me some rope here. Reenacting real life scenarios, not breaking character until the end. Huge.
Yes.
Second, I like the YouTube playlists, making it specific to the students' learning objectives. And then third, listening, paying attention to detail, building that equity with your student to build that long-term relationship. That's key in what we're trying to do here in our program. Is there anything that I missed, or anything that you want to add before we close today?
Sure. I will. I think that one of my, if I had to create, one word, if I had to not create one word, if I had to sum up my style in one word, it would be investment. My client is investing in me. They're trusting me to teach them the best I possibly can. So I'm going to invest in them. I'm going to give them my 150% to make sure that I see an objective change from day 1 to day 14, day 28, day 56, and invest my energy to make sure that I can fulfill or even exceed their expectations. Because in the end, it goes beyond an English speaking business. We're beyond that sort of relationship. human to human, more than this time, more than ever, where everyone is, kind of down because of the pandemic. Everyone feels a little low. We could use some positivity. We could use some excitement, some enthusiasm. And if it's something like this, whether it's a 60-minute session or a text message for a song that I think they would enjoy, small things like that, small, sunspots of happiness can really make the difference in someone's day. And just making those small investments will really pay off for both client and even myself to an extent, more than we could ever believe. So that's kind of all I have to say on that.
We'll leave it right there. John, look, you've also got like direct tie to South Korea. When you're coaching your clients, I'm sure there's a lot of culture that's exchanged, a lot of things that you're learning about our country and the people of South Korea. What is that like to you, knowing your heritage and your background to South Korea?
It means everything. It was one of the reasons why I was so enthusiastic about this position. Just having a direct connection to where I come from. You can't put a number on it. You can't even put a name on it, really. It means more than you could know. I'm thankful, I'm humbled, and I'm honored to be in this position. And that's pretty much all I need to say.
Yeah.
About it. It brings me so much joy. The sessions, I look forward to them because of this intangible. That's all. This intangible feeling and this emotion that you can't get anywhere else. So I cherish it, and I treasure it, and I'm thankful for it.
And we're thankful to have you. And I just almost forgot the most important thing is your passion and your drive and your initial feedback from clients have put you in a position to be a masterclass coach, and not just coach one or two clients or, three, but it's a group of 20, 30, 40 clients in a group. What has that been like for you?
It's been fantastic. I've really enjoyed spearheading the masterclass series on public speaking and professional communication. It's just another opportunity for me to capitalize or kind of capitalize on my drive to help other people and impact not even just my local community anymore, but a global community. And there's just a level of fulfillment that I can't put a number on it. And I looked forward to working on the masterclass. I can't wait to do it again. And it is just getting the feedback from those clients also and engaging with them. It became less and less like a class and more like a conversation. And I felt that we were both myself and the people listening were growing as a result of that, whether it was a key point that someone brings up in the chat box or something I say and they respond positively to that. It's just a wonderful experience, and it's just been awesome.
Yeah, I know that, speaking with our program director, your class is one of the more popular ones, and a lot of students benefit greatly from attending your classes. So we look forward to having you back in season 3. Anything else before we go? Any last remarks, tidbits for the coaches that are watching, clients that are soon to be joining?
Be enthusiastic, stay positive, stay safe. And because the holidays are coming around, happy Thanksgiving, Merry Christmas, happy holidays to all of you.
Well, happy early Thanksgiving. Be safe out there. I'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks, Don. All the best.
Thanks.